Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Shayna Moore, and I'm a senior software engineer at Not8. I'm really excited to talk to you about Hyku Knapsack, a pattern that's completely changed how we approach customizing Haiku. For those who don't know us, Not8 is a Samvera development consultancy focused on digital repositories. Over the last few years, we've helped several institutions adopt Knapsack, and we've learned a lot about what makes customization sustainable and upgrade friendly. By the end of this talk, you'll get a sense of what Knapsack actually is, why it matters, and how to start thinking about separating your customizations from core Haiku. Okay, so let me paint a quick picture of what life used to look like before the Knapsack. If you've ever customized Haiku, this will sound painfully familiar. You add your features, tweak some files, and it all works fine at first. Then a new version of Hyku drops. Maybe it has a security patch or a feature you want, and suddenly your devs are thinking, wait, which files did I change again? Now they're diffing everything line by line, checking every custom feature, fixing merge conflicts, and what should have been a simple upgrade turns into weeks, sometimes months of work. We saw clients stop upgrading altogether because it was just too risky. They were falling behind on security updates, not because they didn't care, but because the upgrade process was exhausting. And that is not sustainable. You shouldn't have to choose between the features you need and keeping your system secure. So here's a mental model that makes Knapsack work. Think of it like going camping. You've got two things, the trail to the campsite and the knapsack you carry with you. The trail is core Haiku. It's the shared path everyone uses, maintained by the Samvera community. They improve it, fix issues, make it safer. When the trail changes, everyone benefits. Your knapsack holds the things that's specific to your journey, your tent, your gear, your tools. That's your custom code, the features unique to your institution. And here's the beautiful part. Those two things stay separate. When the trail gets an upgrade, you don't need to rebuild your gear. You just need to keep walking the new trail with the same pack. That's exactly what Hyku Knapsack does. It keeps your customization separate from core Haiku, so upgrades take less effort. For a closer look at the problem, without Knapsack, everything is tangled together. Feature A tweaks something in core, core gets updated. Feature B depends on that same piece of code, and feature C overrides an entire file. Now, when a new Haiku version drops, you have to carefully untangle all those relationships. Did something break? Did that file change? Did feature C just wipe out a core update? You have to check everything. It's like hiking up the steepest hill with your gear tied to every rock and tree along the way. Every time the trail shifts, you have to stop, unclip everything, move it, and reattach it before you can move again. Exhausting, right? So to reiterate, this is where things finally get easier. With Knapsack, everything has its place. Core Haiku handles the heavy lifting, multi-tenancy, workflows, the main structure. That's the shared trail we're all walking on. Your knapsack carries what's unique to you, your institution's custom features, your gear. When a new Haiku release comes out, you don't have to unpack it and rebuild everything from scratch. Yes, you still need to review your changes and do a little cleanup, but it's the difference between untangling a whole campsite and just tightening a few straps. You can even pin your knapsack to a specific Haiku release, like setting a marker that keeps you oriented on the trail. That pin tells you exactly which version you're working from, so you can test updates safely and move forward at your own pace. But the closer you stay to the main trail, the easier it is not only to upgrade, but to share your gear updates with everyone else. Plus, documentation, examples, and fixes stay more relevant to your own instance, making collaboration across institutions that much smoother. Which brings us to one of the coolest parts of Knapsack, how it changes the conversation about contributing back to the community. This is where the spirit of Samvera really shines. You'll often hear this saying in the community, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Knapsack makes that possible in a very practical way. By separating your local customizations from Hyku core, it becomes much easier to identify which features might help others. When you share those features upstream, you're not just giving back, you're lightening your own maintenance load and helping the entire ecosystem move forward together. It's that shared trail again. We each bring our own gear, but we all benefit when the path is stronger, clearer, and better maintained. Before diving into the technical side, I want to call out one key piece. Whenever you build something new, begin with Hyku in mind. Ask yourself, could this be useful to others? If the answer is yes, contribute it back to Hyku. That's how we strengthen the foundation for everyone using it, not just your own institution. Join the Hyku interest group or tech call meetings to ask questions, exchange ideas, and help refine shared solutions. Doing this keeps the core healthy, avoids duplicate work across the community, and makes upgrades easier for everyone down the line. Then, once the shared work is in the right place, focus on what's truly unique to your needs. Those unique pieces live in your knapsack, and the lighter the knapsack, the smoother the upgrade. This simple mindset of contribute first, customize second, is what keeps the Hyku ecosystem sustainable. And that's really the heart of this approach. We all go farther and get there faster when we're building on solid shared ground. Okay, so this is the point of the presentation where I usually lose the non-developers in the audience. So if you've been waiting for a coffee break, this is your moment. For the devs in the room, let's take the next few slides to unpack what makes Knapsack work. There are two technical key pieces that make the Knapsack work: Git submodules and bundler inject. First up, Git submodules. If you've used them before, you know that they let you embed one repository inside another. In the Knapsack, core Hyku lives as a submodule. It's a wrapper around Hyku. And if you want, you can pin it to a specific branch right in the Git modules file. That means you can literally track the version of Hyku you're running right there in your repository. And when it's time to upgrade, it's as simple as running the command git submodule update remote. Just like updating a gem, point it to a new version, test your customizations, and you're done. The second piece is bundler inject, also known as bundler D. I think only known by me though. But anyways, that directory lets you selectively overwrite gems without touching Hyku's main gem file. So if you need to bump one gem or add another, like Sentry, an error monitoring tool that doesn't come with Hyku out of the box, you can do it right there. No dependency chain chaos, no massive diff. The beauty of both of these tools is that they give you control without forking Hyku. You can upgrade, patch, and test safely, all while keeping your core code, your customizations, and even your specs cleanly separated. And this is a real example of the overwrite pattern from PALS, one of our consortium clients. And it's one of the best practices we follow across all of our Knapsack projects. They needed some extra local control vocabularies, things like accessibility features and contributing libraries that weren't available in core Hyku. Instead of copying Hyku's original file and hacking it up, we created a decorator file. If you look at the top of that file, that top comment is gold. because it tells future developers exactly what version this code overrides and why. Inside, we use super.merge, which extends Hyku's vocabularies without replacing them. And at the end, we use prepend to safely inject that code without ever touching the original class. The result? Their customizations stay cleanly separated and future-proof. When Hyku upgrades, this code just keeps working. This is the overwrite pattern in action, and it's the perfect example of how to extend without breaking. View files are handled a bit differently, but for the sake of time, I'd recommend checking out the Hyku Knapsack README to learn more. Before we move on, let's talk about a few gotchas, things that can trip you up if you're not aware of them as a developer. The first one is version compatibility. Not all Knapsack releases line up perfectly with Hyku versions. They evolve together. So when you upgrade, make sure you're pulling the latest of both. And under the hood, Hyku actually lives in a directory called Hyrax Web App. That's by design, even though the name can throw people off the first time. That directory is Hyku. Next, file naming matters. The Knapsack will automatically load anything ending in decorator.rb, so be intentional. It's a great feature until you accidentally leave a test decorator in your app and it starts running in production. So finally, upgrade discipline. Don't save up months of updates and try to merge them in all at once. Pull upstream regularly, test in small increments, and you'll avoid big headaches later. These sound like small details, but they're the difference between a knapsack that feels solid and one that's fragile. And a quick shout out to Mark Busey. His Samvera training workshop notes came in handy when I was putting together this slide. Okay, now let's talk about some real examples. The Adventist Digital Library wanted clean, human-readable URLs called slugs for their works. This was built before we transitioned to the knapsack, and it worked great, but it also had the potential to make upgrades painful. Because that slug code lived inside their instance of core Hyku, every update meant manually checking for model and routing changes. Not fun. When we helped Adventist migrate to Knapsack, we moved that slug logic into their Knapsack. Now, that feature lives in clean, isolated decorators, separate, safe, and easy to maintain. And here's the best part. That slug logic isn't unique to them. Lots of institutions want it. So now that it's isolated, it's the perfect candidate for contributing back to core Hyku. That's a full circle success story. Custom code that started local, became maintainable, and is now reusable for the whole community. Our second example is from Hyku Up, Notch 8's hosted Hyku service. Hyku 6.2 introduces flexible metadata, which lets you define a default metadata profile. But our hosted tenants have very different needs based on the consortia they belong to. Core Hyku's default profile will not work for them all. In the Hyku Up Knapsack, we've created a way for each consortia to have their own default metadata profile. When a tenant logs in, Hyku loads their consortia's defaults automatically, all through the Knapsack, no core changes required. When Hyku 6.2 rolls out, this will let us deliver per tenant flexibility cleanly and safely. Again, that's the beauty of Knapsack. It makes real-world customization maintainable at scale. I want to share something that really validates this whole approach. At Notch 8, we call our clients partners because we really do work alongside them, building, upgrading, and troubleshooting together. So when they share feedback like this, it means a lot. After we finished a major Hyku upgrade for one of our partner institutions, They told us it was the smoothest upgrade we've ever experienced. Now, coming from someone who's lived through those painful pre-knapsack upgrades, that's a huge compliment. And my favorite line was this one: I'm a knapsack stan. If you're not familiar with the term, being a stan just means you're a big fan of something. And I love that they said that about a code structure. What makes that so powerful isn't just the quote itself, but it's who it's coming from. This is someone who manages the repository roadmap, coordinates development, and feels the ripple effect of every upgrade. For them, Knapsack didn't just make development cleaner, it made their entire process smoother and more predictable. When your clients start becoming advocates of your architectural decisions, that's when you know you've done something right. And honestly, as a dev, I'm a Knapsack stan too. At first, I wasn't totally sold, but now that we've made it through several big transitions using the structures, upgrades feel so much less daunting. And of course, I have to give credit where it's due. This whole knapsack approach was originally architected by Rob Kaufman, the tech lead of Hyku. So thanks, Rob. So let me wrap up with a few practical takeaways you can bring back to your institutions. If you're a decision maker, a repository manager, project lead, or dean, know that the Hyku knapsack is an investment, especially if you're retrofitting an existing instance. It takes some planning up front, but it pays off with easier upgrades and lower long-term cost. So if you're budgeting for Hyku, budget to start with Hyku Knapsack. If you're a developer, take Hyku Knapsack for a spin. Experiment with it, try a few overrides, see how decorators and Bundler D behave in practice. And if something feels off, open an issue or PR. That feedback helps make the project stronger for the whole community. And for those who've already adopted it, we'd love to hear from you and your experiences. And for everyone, start thinking about your customizations as separate from core Hyku. Whenever you add something new, ask, does this belong in our knapsack or in Hyku core? That one question alone will guide you towards better, more maintainable architecture. I'll end with this. Hyku Knapsack isn't just about code, it's about community. It gives each institution room to innovate while helping all of us move forward together. At Notch 8, we've seen firsthand how this approach pays off. Cleaner upgrades, stronger collaboration, and a healthier ecosystem overall. If your team is thinking about adopting Knapsack or planning a migration, that's exactly the kind of work we specialize in, and we love helping institutions take that next step. Thank you all for being part of this shared trail. Here's to continuing the journey together, and I hope to see many of you contributing to the path forward. Until then, happy hiking.